There are 10 things frugal people do to consistently save more money. Welcome to Under the Median. I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
And every week we talk about practical frugality. So what is it that frugal people do that seriously makes us want to stand up and cheer? We have our top 10 list and we want you to stick with us and then chime in the comments section and give us your two cents about what makes you happy about being frugal.
We're going to go in reverse order from the least to the greatest. So let's start out. What is number 10?
Number 10 on our list is frugal people love to hang out with other frugal people.
You know, when you hang out with other like-minded people, you get to draw from their experience. They kind of encourage you, help you stay on the path, because frankly, it does take a lot of work to be frugal.
We understand intrinsically that we don't know everything. And that's the other thing about having frugal friends is you can get around in a big group and say, so what do you know about how to save on whatever it is that we happen to be looking for? And we get a lot of great frugal ideas from our frugal friends, including those of you who watch every week here at Under the Median.
Hanging out with frugal friends also gives us a buffer against all the negativity that we get from others who are not living this lifestyle. It gives us the encouragement and the strength to say no to spending.
And speaking of frugal friends, it is time for a viewer shout out. We were downtown taking care of some business for my mom a couple of days ago, and we met Rory. We took a selfie with him. Rory's wife, Lori, watches Under the Median all the time. Thanks, Rory and Lori, for watching Under the Median. Hey, if you see us out and about and in the wild, so to speak, stop us. We'll take a selfie, and we may give you a viewer shout out on a future program.
Number 9, we know our numbers and we love them. We love to see our money work for us. In fact, I would venture to say that for every dollar that we spend, it's equal to $5 for those who aren't living this lifestyle.
When it comes to numbers, we truly know the value of saving nickels and dimes, and we understand completely that nickels and dimes do add up to dollars. For instance, we love just the same amount that we saved 50 cents, let's say, on a can of orange juice concentrate as saving $100 on our next major appliance that we purchase. We value those equally because we understand that as a whole, that's what we're looking for, is to save money in, say, 20 or 30 different ways every single week. And then that adds up to a boatload of money at the end of the month, and particularly at the end of the year.
We find ways to save money in every area of our budget. And as Hope said, you would not believe how much this adds up over a year.
If you want like a practical example, we actually created one for you. You might start out with a chart like this. This is like a savings chart, but really you can do this on a regular piece of paper. Just make 4 columns. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to put the way that you're going to save and then break it down. Remember, we've talked to you a lot about do the math. This comes in handy not only to when you're saving money, but also when you're spending money, because that cable bill, as you're about to see in a second, adds up in a heartbeat over 12 months of time. We picked 6 different ways to show you how these are common expenses in a lot of people's budgets and how they do add up to a lot of money over the course of 12 months.
Well, let's take a closer look at the savings chart and see the numbers in black and white.
The first expense that a lot of people have is for a premium online viewing service. And we picked Netflix as our example because if you followed us for any length of time, you know that we actually had Netflix until very recently. Now, we sort of rounded up for the sake of easy math. Netflix, let's just say it costs you $20 a month, which is $5 a week. Over the course of a year, you can see that adds up to $240.
If you're cutting on your grocery budget just $10 a week, that adds up to $40 a month or $480 over a year.
Now, we wanted to give you practical examples because it is so easy to figure out how to cut back your grocery budget by just that $10 a week. And it may seem like, well, that's just not going to make a difference, but we just proved to you that's $500 over 12 months.
If you take your lunch to work, you can save $40 weekly or $160 monthly, $1,920 over a year. Now that's getting into some money there.
Now for this example, I did assume that you were eating out lunch every single day and you were spending an average of $8 each day that you went out to lunch.
And I think you'd have a hard time finding a place to go out to eat for $8 in today's economy.
The next easy peasy way that you can save a lot of money over the course of 12 months is you can eat out just one time less per week. The average American family eats out 2 times per week. That's 8 times a month, which means if you're taking your family out, let's say you have a family of 4, I assumed that you were going out for fast food maybe and spending about $50. But once again, I went very light on these numbers, guys, because you would have a hard time eating out with a family at really any fast food restaurant and keeping it down to $50. For the sake of this example and easy math, I said it's about $50 to take your family out to eat, which means if you cut that back, you're doing that one time per week, you're just going to cut back on that and you'll save $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year.
Cutting cable. Now, this is a big expense, and we know a lot of people that pay even more than $25 weekly, which is $100 a month and a savings of $1,200 over a year, but I know people that pay a lot more for their cable TV. We did a video on this where there are so many free alternatives like Pluto, YouTube, Tubi, and the list goes on and on. There are so many sources that have good programming where you don't have to pay a thing. As long as you have internet, which we know you do if you're watching us, then you don't have to pay that cable TV cost.
So if you're ready to cut cable out of your life, be sure to watch that video. We'll put it up above, guys. We'll also put it in the description of this video. Now, the 6th and final way that we came up with that you could save some easy peasy money, that is to ditch your daily Starbucks. We assumed you were going out on your way to work once a day and spending about $5, which once again is cheap Starbucks. But if you're doing that, you'll save $25 a week. That's $100 a month and $1,200 a year. Just in case you haven't been adding this up as we go along, we're going to reveal, can I do one of my drum rolls?
Drum roll.
Our grand total.
So the total amount you could save over 12 months, and this is really a pretty modest number, $7,440.
Now just think about what you could do with $7,500 more in your pocket at the end of a year. Maybe you're not doing these things, but I guarantee you there are things in your life that you could cut back or cut out on and save some money.
Number 8, we apply frugality to every area of our budget. Now, we kind of mentioned that in that last point, but we're going to expound on it now.
Frugality is a lot like sunscreen, guys. It is best applied 100% of the time. Consistency is everything. Tenacity is everything. When you adopt frugality, then if you will take that frugality and the idea of frugality across every area of your life, you'll find ways, like we just showed you, where you can cut back, cut down, and save some extra coin every year.
So if you can identify some areas in your spending that have been inconsistent, nail those down and tighten them up so that you can then apply those savings to your yearly budget.
Now, if you're having trouble envisioning what practical frugality looks like on a day-to-day basis and you'd like some really practical examples, we wrote a short ebook of 10 ways that we radically reduced our expenses when we were saving to pay cash for this house. You can get a free copy of that ebook. I walk you through each step by step, and then give you some great checkoff lists. So as you accomplish each goal, you can check it off on that list. Free copy of the ebook. There'll be a link in the description of the video. Here's a really practical example of how you can sort of still experience that whole feeling of eating out while still spending less money.
So a few nights ago, we didn't have any supper really planned. We were thinking about going out and getting some veggie burgers at Burger King for 4 of us. And then we decided to change course and zip over to Aldi, where we were able to get the soy burgers, some dip, some chips, a loaf of bread, and some salad packets for a total cost of $13.50. Granted, we would have spent probably double that at least at Burger King. So we saved about half on that. There's one example of what you can do to cut costs.
And now back to the countdown. Number 7 on our list is we buy quality, but we rarely pay full price. In fact, one of our goals in life is to never pay full price.
No, I'll do a lot of research on an item and kind of narrow down to what it would be the best item, make, and model that will suit our purposes. And then we'll do further research to try to find the best place to buy it for the least amount. We'll also make sure that we time these purchases to sales. And I like to find older models of items that have maybe been discontinued continued. They've already upgraded it. They have a new model of this particular item. So you're going to save some money by buying an item that's maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years old, because they're going to discount those items, but you're still going to get a good quality brand new item to replace whatever it is that you're trying to work on.
Even after we have found the item that we really want to buy, we are not ashamed to ask about price matching and also to ask if they will take less if we pay in cash.
And since we've done a lot of research, we can tell if an item is really on sale or not. Is that a sale price, or is that just what it normally goes for?
Number 6 on our countdown is the fact that, okay, we just talked about buying things brand new, but number 6 is we really like to buy used if and when we can.
Hope and I rarely buy anything that's first generation. For instance, I have a phone that's it's a few generations back from the latest and greatest. And we've kind of lived our whole life that way. I've done that with a lot of the technology items that I own. I'll go back a few generations, buy used, get something in really good condition. It'll do the same thing. They work just as great. And you've spent just literally pennies on the dollar for those items by doing that.
When it comes to buying those older items, it's not that we always stay with that first gen or second gen item. We do tend to work our way up, but we work our way up sequentially. So we will be perfectly happy with that older model of item for a while, and then we will wait until we find that newer model and we find it at a fantastic price. And then, and only when we know it actually has more features or things that we really want or need, then we'll go ahead and we'll go up to that newer model.
If you're new to the world of buying secondhand, maybe you need to check out some of the resources online, like Marketplace. There's a lot of good items on Marketplace. I think Marketplace is one of the cheaper places to buy used items. There's, of course, always eBay, and then there's Craigslist. Not to mention, you might have some local garage sales, maybe a thrift store, an antique store. There's so many different sources for buying good quality used items.
Another source for buying used and knowing how to buy used is that we just did a video a while back on our top 10 tips for buying used. We'll make sure that that video is listed in the description of this video.
Next on our list, coming in at number 5, is thinking outside the box. We like to think about creative solutions for spending money. What else can we do? What else will work? We try to do workarounds, and maybe we don't just take the easiest path to purchasing things. Occasionally, we'll run into a roadblock where, as we say, the river has dried up on a source that we were using to buy things to save money. So we'll do workarounds, we'll do more research. We have had this happen probably a dozen times on sources that we were using maybe to buy bulk food. Maybe that dried up and the company we were doing it with is no longer in business with that. So we have to find something else that works. So keep looking for ways to purchase things when the old rivers dry up.
We are resourceful and we are masters of the workaround.
Number 4, we have goals. We know where our money is going.
Our list of goals is always, y'all are waiting for it, my favorite word, prioritized. So the most important things are always at the top of that list. But we just don't make a list of goals. We track our progress on those goals.
Just in case you haven't seen our quarterly goal charts, here's an example of what we do on our first quarter.
That chart, by the way, is our actual personal goal chart for the first quarter of 2023. Coming in at number 3 on the list, we don't waste things.
Now, we realize that one of the key components to saving money is not being wasteful. We want to make sure that we're working everything that we have, making and getting the full use out of it. I think this next point is one of the most important points. This will help you save so much money. In fact, it'll keep you from making unnecessary purchases. And that is embrace delayed gratification. When you spend a little time and think over whether you really need to make this purchase, give it 24 hours, give it a week, give it as much time as you need. It's kind of a way to cool your heels. And this really helps us to cool our heels when we think in the moment we really need to buy this item, but then after a 24-hour or a 48-hour cooling off period, we go, why did I think I needed that? What was on my mind? And once again, Impulse buying can really eat up a lot of areas in your budget.
One of the ways that we make sure we stay really consistent in this whole idea of delayed gratification, we sort of have a hierarchy that we go down when there's something that we feel like we actually need. So we might start out, let's just say let's say we need a snowblower. That's our example, guys, snowblower. We have decided we really need a snowblower. We're tired of shoveling the drive, which actually is not true because we still have teenage boys at home. And so they shovel the drive, we don't.
And we didn't hardly get any snow this year.
Our example, okay?
But
snowblower. If we decided we needed a snowblower, we might first check with friends and family and say, hey, you got an extra snowblower just sort of hanging out in your garage you don't want or need. We might see if they might let us borrow it, or they might give it to us, or they might sell it to us for a really great price. Then we're going to look in the used market. We're going to check all of our sources for that. And then we're going to go to retail, and we're going to wait until those snowblowers are being discounted at the end of winter, when we're getting ready for all the spring merchandise. That's when those stores are going to put all of those items on sale. So that's the hierarchy, and you start from the lowest cost, working your way up to a higher cost.
Now, our number one point is consistently live below your means. You always want to be making sure that you're not spending more money than what's coming in. That is the rule for savings.
We like to track every penny that we spend and give every leftover dollar a job to do. Thank you to Dave Ramsey.
I think about leftovers in our refrigerator. We always have leftovers from a meal that Hope makes. Well, then she'll take those leftovers and she'll give them a job to do. She'll say, well, this one, we're going to mix these items in with it. That's going to be our meal for tomorrow for lunch. Everything has a job in your economy, your money, and that way we're making sure we're making the most of all the dollars that are coming into your household.
If this whole idea of living below your means seems a little too nebulous for you, you're like, tell me exactly what that looks like. We actually just did a video a couple of weeks ago where we talked about the ways that we actually lived far below our means when we were saving money to pay cash for this house. If you'd like some real practical examples of what that looks like to live beneath your means, even if you're on a low income, that video is going to be right over there. Click on it, take a look.
I think this next point is one of the most important
I think
points.
You should say that.
I was just saying it.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were saying it to me.
No, that's how I'm going to go into it.